To set up our document, we're going to go to File and create a new one. As far as the size of the board needs to be, we're going to keep our artboards at 1, and I'm going to make mine a tabloid size. Since my illustration is taller than it is wide, at least the portrait part of it is, I'm going to set my width and height to be portrait orientation. However, if you need to, you can set yours to be landscape. We'll say OK to that, and this is what I have. Next, I need to place my picture onto Illustrator board. So I'll go to File and Place, and then I need to find it. Got it on my desktop, saved as Singer. We'll hit Place, and now she's placed into here. If necessary, I may need to move it over or resize it to fit. Since I'm working in vector portraits, it really doesn't matter what the final size is because I can scale those almost infinitely. But I will make it a little bit smaller just to fit onto the page. Okay, if we look at our layers palette, right now I've got my photograph saved on layer 1. That's going to be my, my trace over layer. So I'm going to lock it down by clicking the little lock icon and make a new layer on top of it. This layer 2 is the layer I'm going to be tracing with. Since we are also going to be picking up colors from layer 1, I don't want to drop the opacity of it, as I would with other types of things. We're just going to keep it like this for now. The first thing we'll do when tracing this off is to trace off any of the major outlines of the face. When I say major outlines, I mean major parts that make up the face. What I want it to do is I want it to look like a good black and white drawing, just almost like if I was drawing it with pen and ink. So I need to trace off and render those. So I'm going to choose my pencil tool. I'm going to set my fill color to black, and my stroke we're going to let it be none. Since I've got my pencil tool set up to be filled in, it'll fill in with that particular color. And all I'm going to do is fill these in with the different major parts of the face. So the eyebrows, the eyes, the nose, and the mouth are all major parts. I could also pick out some details in the hair, along the neck, definitely the hand, and different parts of the lower body as well. So as I trace, you can work relatively close to it. This way you can get some of the good details. Click and drag, and then trace over it. When I get close, there's that. Click and drag around, and there's that. If you don't like a drawing that you've done, to quickly swap over to the selection tool, you can hold down the command key. Notice my keyboard or my mouse turns into the arrow. I can then click on it and then delete it away. Now that I let go of my command, I'm back to my drawing pencil, and I can redraw it over again. If necessary, if you wanted to add some more details, you can definitely draw on top of that. So in this case, if I wanted to add some eyelashes to her, there's that. Let's do the other eye on this side. I'm going to go quick. Since this is going to be a stylized portrait, I'm not looking for photorealism. As a matter of fact, what I'm really interested in is how can I make this look more like an illustration rather than a regular photograph. If I was to turn off the visibility of layer 1, you can see how it's coming along. Not too bad. One issue though is that I can't really see the dark shapes on top of the dark background. So in this case, I may swap over from black and start filling it in with a red or some other color that's not behind there. The main thing is I'm creating the shapes. I can always change the color layer. So from here, here's another major dark shape. They're not always looking exactly for dark shapes, but dark shadows tend to really pop out. Here's another thing. If I wanted to draw off the outline of her nose, if I was to click and drag now, go around, I've drawn a line, but now watch what happens when I release my pencil. This is what happens. Remember, we're working in fill mode. It's not creating a line. What I would need to do if I wanted to create a line from there, I'm going to undo that, is when I draw once going down, I need to back up and draw again. This time, I'm paying close attention to how close I am to my original line. This way, I'm left with a line that looks a lot like this. And you can see it's actually varying the width, making it a little bit thicker and a little bit thinner, kind of like it would for a real illustration. And I can do that for any other major lines of the face. So if I wanted this one, maybe have a small thin line, pay close attention to how close I get, and there we go from there. Sometimes adding a little bit of a thickness and then tapering off to the end makes your illustration look really, really good. Let's go down and do the lips. Another idea to keep in mind is rather than doing one continuous line, you can do a variety of short, almost sketchy looking lines. Back and forth, back and forth. Doing this series of lines will give your illustration more of a broken kind of feel and really add some punch to that illustrative tone. There's that. I'm just working on the outline of it. Outline of this lip. And the bottom edge. And if I turn it off, zoom back out, so far so good. Now I may go back and clean up some of this a little bit later, but now I'm going to just kind of jump ahead and redraw off the rest of the lines for this face.